And this afternoon, Ghana's water bodies continue to be destroyed by illegal miners with a lot of impunity. And the activity continues here in the country. The situation is beginning to force, of course, some of our forest reserves to become bare. Analysts say that the verdict is out. A failed fight with the professor from Boateng galamsey report as evidence of the deep political interest that made the entire quest just a mirage. This afternoon, the government is under intense pressure from civil society organizations to get the fight back on track to save the nation. Listen to convener of the media coalition against illegal mining, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe.
I'm not too sure as a country we are taking these issues as seriously as they ought to be. You know, this is somebody from the belly of the whale, who has made very, major revelations. And, we've not really seen any movement to this particular one. And apart from Parliament that we've heard from, the CSOs, we've not heard anything from all of them. They're taking so long, to respond. And if you look at some of the current data from the theater of the illegality, it's, the impunity is continuing. I've chanced upon some report on the water quality in the Ankobra, and the level of heavy metals that are in that. There are two patients that I know, one that is dead, one that is still in the hospital, and the level of heavy metal that are in their blood. You know about the reports that came from, about disfigured babies and all of that. And the fact that even our water body is threatened. So I think that we need to be a lot more angrier as a country so far as this particular, canker of the illegal mining is concerned. This is a report that is about, 2 years old, and, we've not seen any action from the executive.
Well, he's not the only one in this. Secretary of the defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bissiou, has revealed that one of the companies named in the Professor Boateng report was slapped with a $12,000 fine for illegal mining. This is the company with, of course, the issue. Professor Boateng claims the president's cousin, Gabi Esari Ochodako, had contacted him to intervene. Listen to Charles Bissiou on that.
I mean, during the time of the IMCM, we did a lot of work together. And I think the job that Ken did was good because it kept us on our toes. He was coming from a divergent view and all the time.
And it's good to recollect that there was a groundswell of support. The kind we haven't seen before in 2017, 2018.
Exactly.
The entire media organization was marshaled in support of that effort that the president launched.
Exactly. So I mean, at that time, you could realize that the Interministerial Committee was very vibrant because you had people looking into what we're doing. Now, I am also disappointed, first of all, in Professor Boateng.
Why?
Because things that my question is that would he have come out with, or this report, I'm not sure if he was the one who leaked it, would he have done it if he was still a minister? And the things that...
But because we're not sure he leaked it, then that becomes a moot point, is it not? Because
it's not moot.
Considering that this was with the president since 2021.
So it wouldn't be the
Nobody knows who exactly leaked it, but it's become a public subject.
So the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, during the time that he was the chairman, he could have dealt with these issues. I think most of them were done. I mean, the report itself, the substantive part is correct. Okay.
The substantive part is correct.
Yes.
Okay,
but the reason why I'm disappointed in him is that he also had people working for him.
And the story goes on and on. In fact, now civil society is beginning to wade in. A senior research fellow at the Center for Democratic Development, Dr. Kojo Pimpini Asante, is calling on government to institute an independent and a transparent investigations into the report of the former Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Dr. Boateng. Now, according to him, the government cannot overlook revelations made by the former minister. He was speaking at an event by the Gimpa School of Law.
What we have to insist is that if government says that it's serious, if the president says he was going to put his presidency on the line, it cannot shirk its responsibility. And all of the revelations that are coming and so on and so forth, it can't be dismissive and say that it's hearsay. This is the cabinet minister that you put in charge of your own committee that you set up and has brought a report. And say, well, it's not on a letterhead, it's not this and that. This was 2 years ago. That is even a worry, that we want to know what was done 2 years ago. Even for you to come to a determination that something is hearsay, you need to investigate it. For me, I'm calling for some independent process to go into this matter. This matter it's not just today. But this report was 2 years ago. So what had been done since then? If at that time government thought it was hearsay, why is it that he kept all the committee and all of those things so functioning? Is it now that we are now coming to think that this is hearsay matters? So we cannot accept what government is saying. Somebody's personal grievances. No. That's not good enough. We need to a proper investigation. As a state that is serious will do proper investigation into the matter, where everybody will see the report. Yeah, we talked to this person, we introduced, we went to see, and this person doesn't own anything, all of those things. We want a proper report, not just a dismissing, from a cabinet minister that you or yourself have appointed to oversee the process. No, that's not acceptable.
Well, this is prompting a lot of conversations as to how to ensure integrity in the process of the investigation itself. I want to bring in now Mary Awolana, who is the Programs Manager at the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Thank you so much for your time here on the polls. A lot of issues unfolding. First, there's the leg where, of course, an NDC member of parliament is heading to Shraj, asking Shraj to investigate the matter. Some are equally asking the president to act. And then we have the minority in parliament indicating that they may trigger some processes on the floor of parliament. From the perspective of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, how do we get the public to know what it is that the government intends to do about this illegal mining menace that's going out of hand for many?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers. I believe that this is an issue that we need to pay attention to. Kojo couldn't have said it more aptly. I also believe that others who have been in this fight have collectively spoken out loudly enough about this. We believe that this issue or this particular matter should be discussed, and it should go beyond just Parliament, as Parliament is calling, because for us, we know parliamentary probes have come and gone. We had the health minister's issues. We didn't see much results coming out of there. So an independent probe, if the president actually wants to ensure that people trust him, that he actually put his presidency on the line to ensure that we fight galamsey, then this is a very fantastic opportunity for him to then determine that even though this report has been 2 years, perhaps maybe he didn't see it. It's possible. We are giving him the benefit of the doubt that perhaps when Professor Frimpong Manso, the very credible gentleman who was assigned the role to lead the fight against galamsey, presented a report in 2021. Perhaps let's give the president the benefit of the doubt that he didn't see it, but now he has seen it. Whoever leaked it has been leaked. That is not the issue. The issue on the ground today is the fact that the president, who has been vested with the powers of the state, who again put his presidency on the line to ensure that the people of Ghana are rid of this canker of galamsey, then see some results, and then it propels the public trust again in the institution of the presidency. We say so because there have been past allegations that a lot of people are complicit in this phenomena. And these allegations have stated the presidency, unfortunately our security forces, and others. We had analysis video on it. And so today, if we hear from the veritable professor that he superintended on some of these serious instances, then it's very unfortunate. And if you listen to the responses from the people who have been cited, this even gives more credence to the fact that something more than just a CID investigation or a parliamentary probe has to be done. And they call for an independent probe, bringing together a cross-section of the Ghanaian populace, experts who understand the issues and are credible and respected, would be a very fantastic one. And let me say that the Ghana Integrity Initiative in due course would also be sending out a statement today to state our views on some of the issues that border on corruption and money laundering, which we believe have not been succinctly dealt with. We believe this is a holistic process that has to be done, and we need to attend to it if we want to save our water bodies, and if we also want to name the impunity that is attached to this process in the bud.
We'll tackle the aspect of the corruption and money laundering that you're raising. But just to complete this conversation on Professor Frimpong Boateng, I mean, I've heard the conversation and many have thrown that about, that we need an independent audit into what's going on. But the question is, what significant difference will that bring to what's going on now?
It would bring, number one, trust, because today, the people of Ghana, if you remember in recent past, various surveys have shown that trust in government has waned, significantly waned. If you look at what the Afrobarometer has done, the latest one, and then also from SHRAJ and the Statistical Services point of view, trust in our governance system has waned. And trust in government that it will take action on certain grievances that have come up or certain allegations that have come up is next to zero, less than 30%. And so it portends on our government to show that what citizens believe is not what is on the ground. So that is one. But then also, it's also for government to show that the issues around accountability, because we put people in power to superintend over the state on our behalf as the Constitution has mandated. And so for us, we believe that the Constitution has put you there as president. We voted for you. And so you should be doing things in the best interest of the state. So that is number two. And then we are talking about issues around constitutional governance and also value for money for the various developmental agenda we expect. And so when we see that people there is no equity and there is no social justice in the system, then it is a cause for worry for the people of Ghana. And we believe that it is not too much to call on government to do something exceptionally different from what has happened before, which would usually lead to some people being cleared as quickly, even before the investigation results are put out there for the public to know.
Yeah, but the president explains, so sorry for cutting through, but the president explains that the reason for which he's doing that is simply because Professor Frimpong Boateng's report lacks absolute evidence on the matters being raised.
That is unfortunate, to say the least. The president put this gentleman in or as the head of the galamsey or as the minister then, and he had a lot of people to work with. So he has the first-hand exposure to the issues he is speaking to, unless, of course, the president says he doesn't believe the veritable professor, which I would have difficulty in believing as well. So for us, we believe that he led the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, and so all the reports came to him. And if you listen to the responses, I particularly note one, which confirmed that the person called this man, and so the man would have some references. So you cannot say that it lacks references or it lacks credence or supporting documentation. The supporting documentation of whatever he's talking about is available. Wherever he put them in his report, which we have all had the opportunity to read. And so the onus now lies on the president to either validate what the gentleman has said or otherwise. Because if he is also made hearsay, as the state, then it is for the president to say he was just conjecturing because he had some exposure with the issues.
Okay.
But if you do not validate this, then how do we validate it? As myself and you in the media, how do you validate it and give credence to it? It is the president who has the power, because all the reports of the Interministerial Committee would have been sent to cabinet, and at the cabinet meetings, the president is there to superintend affairs, and he would have been briefed appropriately. So whatever information this gentleman has, he has presented. Let us add on and let's conclude this process.
I see. There are a number of individuals being named in this report. And so, well, it's not just fair to look at it from the perspective of the president. How about the individuals, government appointees, whose names have made their way into this report? We can talk of, well, not to be fixated on them, but you know a number of names coming up already in this report. What's your expectation from some of these individuals? Are you expecting them to at least step aside, make way for some investigation to run, or you believe they should still be at post while we carry out this independent probe?
As we have called for the probe, and so the normal thing to do, as has happened before, and I continue to cite the example of the PPA gentleman, the president asked him to recuse himself for the investigation to go on. And remember, this investigation was carried out by Shraj. So we do not expect anything less. We have heard some of them come up to respond. And so for me, I believe that the responses alone also then give credence to the fact that there must be some investigation to either substantiate what they are saying or otherwise. Because if, for instance, Kwekubaku would be not a good example because he's not a public officer. But those who are public officers would definitely, they are the people we need to contend with because they are serving us. We put them there to serve the citizenry of the republic to the best of their ability and capabilities. So these gentlemen, if there is any probe, if the president heeds this call and calls for a probe, then it is very important that what the president has done before should be replicated. That does not mean they are guilty when these investigations are concluded. Definitely, it even serves them better, their interests better, because it clears them and it makes everybody in Ghana know that these issues that were spoken to were not right after all.
Now you're equally concerned about, for instance, issues of corruption, allegations that are still hanging around the presidency, and money laundering. Let's start off on the point of corruption. Where lies the concern of the Ghana Integrity Initiative?
There are a lot of issues there. We have issues of abuse of power that have been mentioned in the report. And you know, corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. And we have heard people calling people to get some people to get away with illegality. And that is corruption, pure and simple. So some of these abuses of power and discretion are not to the interest of the state. And so we are particularly worried about some of the instances that have been mentioned. And particularly when they have to do with security officials, then also having to be cited in this, then it becomes even more worrying. So we see instances where a whole regional architecture was brought into the picture where monies were collected by somebody who was set aside to take those monies and put in a certain account, and the monies were retrieved. That is money laundering, pure and simple, if you look at the definition. And so for us, we believe that things like that, where people were taking monies to allow wrongdoing to persist, and where people were taking money and sending them through other people's accounts, it is a worrying phenomenon. Where did the monies go? And the person put a statement down that he was taking up to about 50,000 for one instance, and he accumulated a lot. So these are instances which can be investigated. And then when public officers are cited, that they say, oh, these are my boys, and so these boys cannot be said to have done this because I know them and trust them, it becomes a difficulty. We are all fallible beings, and we can make mistakes anytime. And so we do not, because I know Blessed, I say Blessed is my boy. I bet him, and so I know Blessed would not do the wrong. I do not go out with Blessed. I don't interact with him when he goes to his friends. And so I cannot 100% of the time say that Blessed is my brother or my son, and for that matter, Blessed can do no wrong in my sight. That is a fallacy of hasty generalization.
Yeah. Indeed, we need to probe the matters, but Mariada will have to leave the conversation here. Thank you for your time here on The Pulse. And of course, we'll be getting back to some more consensus and when the Ghana Integrity Initiative places its statements out. But government is insisting that it is on course in protecting the forest and water resources, despite coming under intense public criticism and, of course, condemnation for its handling of matters relating to illegal mining in the wake of that explosive report by Prof. Boateng. According to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources at Boateng, the government is leading the fight with enough transparency and integrity to deal with the galamsey menace. The minister gave the assurances at a press conference on the government's preparedness for the 2023 Green Ghana Day celebration.
That you continue to have the assurance of government and the ministry that we are discharging our mandate with integrity and transparency, with candor, and doing all we can to ensure that we keep our environment, we keep our landscape intact, and the integrity of our forest reserve is not compromised. And as you know, the various measures the ministry is put in place to deal with these matters are matters of public knowledge, and these are matters I've spoken to over and over again, and we're very focused on that, and we don't want to be distracted. The forestry sector is one aspect of the mandate of the ministry, but as you quite rightly pointed out, the forestry sector has a relationship with the mining sector, as the mining sector has a relationship with the forestry sector. So whilst we are taking these measures to green our country, we are equally taking measures to protect the forest reserves of our country. And that is the responsibility the President gave me from March 2021 to date. And I've been working hand in glove with the various stakeholders in the ministry, in government, and beyond to make sure that we discharge the assignment given to us by the President. And that's exactly what we are focused on doing.
Okay, the minister has also been touching on the Green Ghana agenda, indicating the government is scheduled to plant 10 million trees across the country on this year's Green Ghana Day celebration, which is scheduled for June 9, 2023.
On the maiden edition of the Green Ghana Day, we targeted 5 million trees. With your support, over 7 million trees were planted. Last year, we raised our ambition and targeted at least 20 million trees. Again, you supported us, and over 24 million trees were planted, bringing the total number of trees planted over the years to in excess of 30 million trees. So far, field assessment report shows that, on the average, we had 72% survival rate last year, as compared to 81% in 2021. While adequate measures were put in place to ensure the survival of all trees planted, a number of external factors accounted for the survival rate, including rainfall patterns, wildfires, and soil fertility. Nonetheless, the survival rate shows that we still have some 23 million trees to nurture. It is for this reason that this year, government has decided to revise our target downwards to 10 million trees. This will give us space to devote some resources and attention to the trees planted over the last 2 years, while not losing momentum on our quest to restore our degraded landscape. It is the expectation of government that this year we will receive the usual massive support to build on the successes achieved in 2021 and 2022. We have also decided to organize this year's Green Ghana Day under the theme, quote, "Our Forest, Our Health," end quote, to signify the importance of forests in our lives and to remind us of the many health and related benefits we derive from forests. On this note, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to announce that the 2023 edition of the Green Ghana Day will be held on Friday, June 9th, 2023, under the theme, quote, "Our Forest, Our Health," end quote. Next month, May, the official launch of the Green Ghana Day will be done graciously by His Majesty the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II at the Great Hall of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi.
Well, there's a lot unfolding in matters relating to illegal mining. The president of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach Center, Reverend Lawrence Tete, has emphasized the need for a collective effort in the fight against galamsey. In his view, the responsibility of curbing this illegal mining menace should not solely rest on the government, but the responsibility of every Ghanaian.
Corruption must not be condoned by any level of our society. And whether we like it or not, today, Ghana, people are not honest, and corruption seems to have permeated into the rank and file of our community. We should not also forget that we have a collective responsibility to stop galamsey. And stopping galamsey has nothing to do with government alone. It has to do with us too, the communities, political leaders, security services, our traditional rulers, our services, and indeed every Ghanaian has the right to stop this menace of galamsey that has destroyed our water bodies. Ladies and gentlemen, we must all be seen to be doing the right thing to protect the evils of our society and also to protect our people and our heritage.
Well, he's also indicating that the NDC and NPP-led administrations have failed in promoting the national agenda.
Shamefully, our two political leading parties have not helped in promoting the national agenda and succession plan for Ghana. It is quite worrying that whilst NDC did not continue with projects led by NPP whilst they were in government, NPP is doing same, not forwarding and promoting and continuing with projects that were started by NDC. For how long would we kill our own and destroy the very resources we all live on? This nonsense must stop. NDC abandoned NPP-led projects and NPP is abandoning NDC-led projects. For how long would this absurdity continue at the expense of our nation? This nonsense must stop. As the Bible states in Proverbs chapter 29 verse 2, the righteousness exalts a nation, and when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. Therefore, we are counting on our political leadership to be mindful in these difficult and trying times, which has affected everyone from all walks of life, regardless of our creed, color, religion, background, tribe, or even faith. It is also regardless of our political colors. If you go to town, whether you are NDC, NPP, or CPP, you buy at the same price. And we need to wake up to the fact that Ghana belongs to Ghanaians, and we all have a collective responsibility to make Ghana right.